We might have to make another one of those and get like Jamar Chase off there. They suck. They're done. That's
Just
over.
hater, dude,
I
hater.
love no. The Bengals are done though. You know what I mean? Like the Bungles, and you know what? Like honestly, I don't feel bad. Uh, there's a lot of teams that have really burned me in the past, have really fucked me over. Bengals are really high on that list. Packers are way up there. The Spurs are way up there. Uh, yeah, the Brewers are all the Wisconsin teams have burned me so hard. Washington teams. There's a few states whose teams have really fucked me in the past, man. Do you have a state like that? Do you have a state that's just like just the whole state screws you?
Trying to
Who are
think of
your teams? Who are your teams that have screwed like that you just hate because they've just screwed you over and over throughout the years betting? You don't have anyone like any teams like that?
probably Florida Atlantic in football.
Florida Atlantic. Would that just be if that's your team that's cost you? That means like the hotline. You're supposed to call that number and they're supposed to stop you from doing.
Well, just stop from betting if Florida Atlantic's a team that's like screwing me.
That's actually yeah, Florida Atlantic. That's the 1-800 number right there. That's it. At least mine are professional teams. Jesus Christ, you know what I mean?
Last year was the Cincinnati Reds.
Cincinnati Reds. R.I.P. to the Reds. Look, they had a nice little run to get into the playoffs. I was just talking about this today. Not to get off topic, we're going to go over all the DFS stuff for the main slate, Fanduel Draftkings player pool. We'll talk lineup. If you have no matter where you're watching, I should be able to see the comments. If you have a question, a player who wants to talk about, what up to the DFS Whispers? Appreciate you guys. Like, subscribe if you want to join the Patreon. Our Patreon's been on fucking fire. We're not getting a lot of people signing up, but we're just winning every single day. Good prize picks, fucking bets, baseball, DFS has all been good. So if you want to sign up, $15, it's in the video description. Click it, sign up. But these baseball teams that get knocked out in the wild card round, right? So you go 162 games, dude, like 8 months of games, right? Not 8 months, it's like 7 months of games every day. You have this you fight to get into the playoffs, and then the next thing you know, your playoff run is over on a Tuesday and Wednesday. That's it. Goodbye. You're done. It's like, is it that much better than like, okay, so the Mets didn't make the playoffs. The Reds played 2 more games. Did the Red like? Does it fucking really matter all that much? Like, who cares? Who cares? Yeah. Okay, I don't know. I feel like they either need to like expand the length of that round a little bit, or shorten the regular season like in half.
I think they need to shorten the regular season. That thing is so goddamn
in half.
That thing is
in
so
half.
goddamn on. Like,
yeah. It's wild. So yeah, click that, sign up there. Eric, quarterbacks. Let's just jump right into it. This is for the Sunday slate. Please like, subscribe, all that good shit. You can tweet this out, have people watch. We're gonna go over this main slate here. I checked the weather too. Looks like the weather's good everywhere. That should start being a habit. I just want to remind everybody as we get deeper in, checking the weather, even the Sunday morning of, because you never know, this shit changes, and making sure there's not like 3 feet of snow on the ground when you're playing, a wide receiver or shit like that. Get in the habit. It looks like just in Philly, possibly a little bit of rain. The other rain games are all in domes, maybe some in Philly, but it's still going to be warm, like in the 70s, but maybe some rain. That's from what I saw. That's it. But we're looking at quarterbacks here, starting at the top. Look, I think it's an interesting week from quarterbacks. There's certain matchups you want to attack, like the Cowboys are the best matchup for quarterbacks per every metric, right? The Bengals right there with them, Ravens, Dolphins, Commanders, Steelers. Those are the 5-6 most juicy matchups, if you will, versus quarterbacks. What do you got at quarterback, Eric?
I kind of have 3 guys I'm looking at. Number 1, first game back, Jaden Daniels, 217, 1.5, and no interceptions in the air this year, 9 for 43 on the ground. ADOT is up 1.5 yards per game compared to last season. With his offensive line issues, I think that's going to open up him to run more. No McLaurin, no Noah Brown. Not really worried about that. I think just the rushing upside, they're going to expect him to do more, especially after missing a couple of games. So I really like Jaden Daniels because of his rushing upside. The next one, down a little bit of the way at 5,600 on DK, Justin Fields. 226-1 in the air, 781-1 on the ground in 2 full games. He's been a top 7 QB in passing score, doesn't have any picks. He's rushed for 3 touchdowns. He has rushed over 48 yards in every single game. His opponents have allowed the most points to quarterbacks, and they've allowed the most touchdowns. Now, I love, one of my betting angles is love fading teams after they play over 75 plays on defense. This Cowboys defense was on the field for 79 plays. They're going to be extremely tired on a short week. Traveling to New York. Also, Fields' completion percentage, his yards per pass is up against zone coverage, and the Cowboys can't create any pressure. I absolutely love Justin Fields at 5,600. And then the last guy I'm looking at, couple slates down, Jackson Dart. Saints are quietly very good against the run. Dart joined an extensive group of having 10 carries over 50 yards and 1 TD on the ground. Yes, I know only passed for 111. Yes, I know there is no neighbors, but the Saints have allowed the 6th most points to quarterbacks on the year, paying down at 5,300. You get the rushing upside. I think it's going to be him and Scatterboot doing a lot of the work. I think he's going to run a little bit because of how good they are limiting running backs. So I like Dart as kind of my quote unquote pay down option. Those are the kind of the 3 guys where my head is.
Yeah, and so Justin Fields is everything just lines up like the universe is opening up. And this was happening on Monday night too, and it was a slow start. And I remember I texted you and like, that's it. Justin Fields sucks. Fuck Justin Fields, because he was ruining everything. But I mean, even the rushing yards are there. It's hard to imagine. Justin Fields should be number 1 on the DFS board. It might be chalky. What do we have projected ownership sitting at right here? 23%, which is really high on a 10-game slate. That's over a fifth of the market share on one quarterback. So 50-50 for sure. Now in tournaments, look, sometimes there's good chalk, and he might be the highest scorer. So I completely agree. I love some Justin Fields. At the top, Jared Goff. Like the next, if you're looking at another defense, it's real susceptible to quarterbacks, even though there is a blowout script here. I think the Lions, Jared Goff's he hasn't had that massive, he had the one massive game where he threw the 5 touchdowns, and that's what it's going to take. And you might just see that the Bengals across the board against running backs, against quarterbacks. So if you want to just be a little bit different in tournaments, or you're playing single game with the Lions, Jared Goff, that matchup is there. I think Justin Herbert, also the matchup's going to be there. You mentioned Jaden Daniels. I love the fact that Washington's got its quarterback at least. Is Terry McLaurin going to be back this week? I'm not 100% sure.
Him and Noah Brown are both out.
So McLaurin and Noah Brown both out. So, but you still have Jaden Daniels is going to push the pace a little bit, keep the pedal to the metal, not let the Chargers feel secure. You know, if they're facing a backup in Mariota, maybe they feel secure with a 23-6 lead. You don't necessarily do so against Jaden Daniels. So Justin Herbert, Washington allowing the 6th, 7th most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. Certainly a plus to positive 3.5 fantasy points allowed. I like the matchup there, and I like the matchup for Dak. Look, we just saw Tua and that Dolphins offense throw it all over them. Dak had a huge week last week against a much better defense than we thought, anyways, in Green Bay. I think I like Dak Prescott quite a bit. And then just a couple value guys. You mentioned Jackson Dart. Completely agreed. 10 carries last week. Love me some Jackson Dart. Saints stink against quarterbacks. They stink against everything. And one other guy who I think does have some big upside potential against that Dolphins defense that's, despite playing so well the entire game, gave up 28, 29 to Justin Fields. Bryce Young, 4,700 on DraftKings, 6.6 Fanduel. Dolphins have allowed the 2nd most DraftKings points to opposing quarterbacks, 4.7. The only teams with the higher adjusted fantasy points allowed: Cowboys, Bengals, Ravens, then Dolphins. I like that matchup quite a bit. Running backs, Eric, what do you think? Who are your guys this week?
All right, so my list is all over the board. So I just started writing names down and typing in ideas. So I apologize for that. The first 2, I'm going to the Washington backfield. Chris Rodriguez starts the game, usually plays until the midway through.
One second, Eric. I'm sorry. I just want to answer this guy's questions. Yeah, dude. Type in your fantasy football questions. Do our best to help. Type away. Answer away. Anyone. Answer any question you want. You want me to save your marriage, get you a girlfriend? Actually, Eric's been the one getting the ladies lately.
Yeah,
Eric's
just not the right ones, dude.
yeah. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry, Ron, but yeah, answer your football questions. Let's get in there. We'll answer any question you got. All right, go ahead.
All right, random order. Chris Rodriguez, he starts the game, comes out midway through the second quarter, 7 for 59, has gone 18 for 98 in the last two games, but is not a factor in the passing game. JCM, he does have a knee injury. We need to make sure we monitor that. He is averaging 7 for 43, has 2 rushing touchdowns, 3 catches. Without McLaurin and Noah Brown, we could see him be a little bit more of a factor. Now, I know they're going up against the Eagles, but oh my God, I'm spacing on the big guy in front who Carter is hurt. He did miss practice yesterday. J.K. Dobbins, 16 for 101 last week, has scored a run for 100 yards in all 4 outings this season. He's averaging 14 carries, 81 yards, 0.8 touchdowns per game. Great start for Dobbins. Now, I know a lot of people are going to look at Nick Chubb against this weekend against Baltimore, who's been bleeding production. What about Woody Marks? 17 for 89 on the ground, 4 for 50 in the air. He's gained 5 yards on a third of his carries. So every 3 times this kid is touching the ball, he's running for 5 yards, which is absolutely absurd. Now, without no Lamar Jackson, it wouldn't surprise me if we see the Ravens try to lean on Derrick Henry a little bit more. We need to remember in game 1, 169 yards, 2 tutties. He's gone 1-15-1 in the last 3 games. After that, 3 of his last 4, I know, have been under 55 yards. But this is the Texans defense, which has been garbage this year. So I definitely like that. Do you want to answer this guy's question?
I said no fucking way, because you're not trading Jahmyr Gibbs away, especially for an injured Bucky Irving and Nico Collins. Like, Nico Collins is the number 1, but CJ Stroud fucking sucks. Like, you're just going to be spending a lot of time as a long. I had Nico Collins last year. I won my championship in spite of being a Nico Collins owner. It's really fun to watch CJ Stroud throw fucking balls in the dirt and take sacks and throw passes behind Nico Collins and above his head and out of bounds. I don't know. I get it, because you're getting 2 stars and you don't. But Kamara to me is just fine. I know Kendre Miller starting to take over a bigger role, but Jahmyr Gibbs, tough sell for me. I say no fucking way. What do you think?
I'd say no way. I mean,
yeah.
Kamara could be traded, and then when we look at Nico Collins, his production at this part of the season versus last part of the season significantly down. So I would not do that one at all.
It's not the same Texans offense. Sorry, you don't have Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs taking coverage away. It's all focused on, and CJ Stroud already struggles enough. So, anyways, go ahead. Sorry, my bad.
When we look at his touches a game,
absolutely.
Season 21, 12, 13, and 14, has 40 touches in the 2 complete games he's played with Fields. Rushed for 80 each time. Jonathan Taylor has been great. 17 for 76, 5 of 20 in the air. He did have a 53-yard touchdown run last game that was called back. He has gone 17 for 75 each game, is averaging 19 for 1 or 4 and 3 receptions per game against this Raiders defense. Now, here's a sneaky one, and we've talked about this angle before when a player is on the injury report. Chuba Hubbard. I put a bet on him in the Patreon. He's
not going to play.
He's officially out?
I believe he's officially been ruled out, or very, very unlikely to play, is what I just read.
Okay.
Like, very, 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 he's expected to miss week 5. Oh, he's been ruled out, and he's been ruled out. Rico Dowdle to start. So Rico Dowdle would be the player.
Rico Dowdle, huge in a great spot. Tony Pollard, 14 for 64, 3 for 20 in the air. 19, 20, 18, 17 in his touches, averaging 79 scrimmage yards. I know that Spears is coming back this week, but this is his first game back from the IR. I really don't think he's going to be in that big of a mix. We mentioned Bucky Irvin. He is out. Rashard White, 6 for 17 and 4 for 29 in the air. Now he's going to get the lead back work against the Seattle defense. Last year against Seattle, he went 22 for 105 when they played Seattle last year. So he had success running it. Mario Mario, dude, sorry. Marion Hampton.
Mm-hmm.
12 for 128 last week, has gone 12 for 70 with 5 receptions in each of the last 2 games. That's kind of my head, kind of where everyone is kind of with the running backs and everything.
Yeah, if I started at the top, I love Jonathan Taylor every week, especially against the Raiders. I could see it playing. I know the Raiders have been sneaky good, 6th fewest points allowed to opposing running backs, but I don't think they've been playing teams that have taken advantage of it as much. I like Jonathan Taylor. Then right below, Jahmyr Gibbs against the Bengals. Bengals, second most fantasy points allowed, or DraftKings points allowed to opposing running backs. 5th highest adjusted fantasy points allowed against running backs. The Cowboys and the Bengals, top 5 in both quarterbacks and running back categories. That tells you how bad those defenses are. And it's not bad to stack against those teams, no matter how you do it. And both of those options, you mentioned Breece Hall, Justin Fields, both those options are running backs that you can stack and who are still going to get targeted in the passing game so that there's still that receiving touchdown upside. A-Chain against Carolina. 11th most DraftKings points, 20. I mean, it just seems like he's getting 20 touches a week. I agree with you with Derrick Henry. Could be a Derrick Henry week. Should be a Derrick Henry week. Houston, susceptible against the pass as well, but I do agree there. We just talked about Alvin Kamara. I think he's an excellent play this week against the Giants. Giants 3rd in adjusted fantasy points allowed. 5th most DraftKings points allowed, 20 touches last week. He's getting double-digit touches every single week. I have 0 issues with Alvin Kamara or Cam Scatterboo. I like them both. Breece Hall, you mentioned, one of the top options this week. He just, with no Braylon Hall, who's going to be out multiple weeks now. Isaiah Davis, more of a pass-catching guy. If you want to get crazy and you're like, look, I hate how they use Breece Hall and I want the backup, Isaiah Davis is the guy. This week, Woody Marks, you mentioned it. No teams allowed more fantasy points to running backs than the Ravens. The Ravens have the highest adjusted fantasy points allowed to opposing running backs at nearly 10, 9.6. He's 5'4" on both sites. He's such a good price on both sites at 5,400, and that's really cheap on Fanduel, by the way. Really, really cheap on Fanduel. Woody Marks projected a little bit higher ownership, 17%, but I think it makes sense. You're right about Tony Pollard. What about everyone being on Jahmyr Gibbs because the Bengals stink and the Lions, stink against running backs? If I make multiple lineups and I'm playing a lot of Jahmyr Gibbs for the matchup, I want to have some David Montgomery. I don't want to get poached for 3 touchdowns. You know what I mean? And it's the writing's on the wall. The writing's on the wall for David Montgomery just to pound the ball at get 12 yards per carry, end up having 10 carries, 72 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Right? I mean, the writing's on the wall. I like David Montgomery quite a bit. A couple other value guys. I have this on my bench in our Guillotine League. What about Amari DiMarcardo? I think he's got to be the number 1 for the Cardinals, right? Scored last week. Trey Benson's gone for the year, for 12 weeks.
He's RB1.
They haven't signed anybody. They don't have anyone else they hardly have any experience. So Amari DiMarcardo, he's more of a pass catching guy, but he did score last week. And guess who else stinks against second highest adjusted fantasy points allowed is the Tennessee Titans to opposing running backs. They've allowed the 3rd most DraftKings points to opposing running backs, Amari DiMarcardo. I think he's there. And if you like, his touchdown number might be crazy. You mentioned Rashad White as well. What about a couple guys? RJ Harvey, Kendre Miller. Kendre Miller, double-digit carries last week, scored a touchdown. RJ Harvey, double-digit carries, scored a touchdown. What do you think about those 2 guys?
Miller has been great. I think slowly but surely he's going to start overtake a little bit more of the workload just because they want to see what they have in him. Everyone knows Kamara is probably, with the contract he signed, is probably going to be on the move. So I like that.
Who do you think gets Alvin Kamara? What about the Dallas Cowboys?
I can see the Cowboys, or it wouldn't surprise me if it's the Bears, to be honest with you. I mean, dude, I thought he was going to get traded because randomly out of the blue, he was up here throwing out a first pitch for a Chicago Cubs game. He has no ties to the Chicagoland area, and just randomly he was here throwing out a pitch. I thought he was going to get traded within the first week. Swift has been a little banged up.
What about the Kansas City Chiefs?
That makes sense too.
You can use him more in the passing game because they're not getting anything out of Pacheco or Kareem Hunt. They don't really commit to it, but it's a weird running game there. I think Kamara would make them a lot more explosive.
100%.
spitballing. Excuse me. All right, let's go to wide receivers. Who do you like this week? Well, I know it's a huge list of guys. Look, we're gonna have our full lineups and stuff on the Patreon. Check that out there. So you don't. I mean, I'll try not to go over everyone too, because it's like, this is the longest position.
I'll just say this. Can I just say this? All three Chargers
guys.
Fair enough.
Oh, Ladd McConkey's been so bad. His price is as cheap as it's ever going to be. Remember to start the year, Ladd McConkey was $7K. Now he's 5.5 on DraftKings, but his numbers have been shit. He's playing 87% of the snaps and just not getting the ball.
Has been under 50 yards in 3 straight, no scores in 4 games. But this is against a Commanders back 4, and we target it. We were heavy on Penix in our lineups last week and Drake London, which paid out to be dividends. You got to think Keenan Allen, you got to Quentin Johnson and Ladd. One of those 3, I really feel has to be in your lineup. We mentioned how there was no Stary Carey and no Noah Brown. Luke McCaffrey, 2 for 21 and a touchdown last game. He has scored in 2 straight, but he's only running 24 routes in those 2 games, so very limited opportunity. So he's a low budget option. Alameo from the Titans went 2 for 24. Ball knocked off his hands for a pick.
Say the last name again. I'm sorry. I can't help it. I'm a little bit baked too. I'm not gonna lie. So it's just really funny.
You know, you're my boy. He played 80% of the snaps for the first time. That was the most he played last week. Has 4 catches and a score in 3 games. He's averaging 3.5 catches for 46 yards a game. And in the matchup against the Cards are 25th defending wide receiver 2s. Mm-hmm. So I really think they're going to do a good job with Will Johnson taking away Calvin Ridley. This is going to open stuff up. Darius Slayton has a combined 179 yards in the 2 games that Neighbors missed last season. We've talked about how good the Saints are against the run. He had 3 for 45 in his last 3 games. I think we're going to see a big Darius Slayton game. And when you kind of look at the routes ran, you can kind of tell that the Bull only trusts Robinson and Slayton. Those are the only wide receivers that are going to be on the field. Now, Chris Olave, I'm shocked with how well he is doing this year. I didn't think Spencer Rattler was going to be able to get him the ball. 6.5 catches, 46 yards, 10.5 targets a game. Mm-hmm. So he's getting a high volume. Also, there's a squeaky wheel game. The Surtain is great, but is he physical enough to stop A.J. Brown?
And it does feel like a squeaky wheel game, but that one's, it's tough. 6th best, 4th fewest DraftKings points allowed to wide receivers, 6th best fantasy points, adjusted fantasy points allowed at -5.5. Just looking at Surtain, I completely agree with you, the squeaky wheel for A.J. Brown, but then I just keep looking at this matchup, and Surtain, it's only targeted, it's 0.20 fantasy points per route ran against. He's going to shadow, most likely. I don't know.
It's one of those things. Tough. For me, it's a tournament play. Now, Garrett Wilson,
600%.
Great touchdown. He has gone 6 for 80 and 1 touchdown in 3 of 4 games. He's gotten at least 8 targets per game. Last year went 2 for 83 and a touchdown against the Cowboys. This Cowboys defense is absolutely putrid. I do like the all the wide receivers in the for the Raiders. Xavier Howard retired. This is forcing a rookie from Tulane, whose name I'm completely spacing on, into action. This kid was terrible at Tulane, and anytime you are physical with him, he struggles insanely. I like Jacoby Myers, 8 for 97 in week 1. In the 3 since that, he's averaging 4 catches, 54 yards, and 8 targets a game. Trey Tucker is going to be more the hit and miss guy. You know what I mean? Like, he's either going to have 2 for 80 and a touchdown, or he's going to have 1 for 40, and that's it. Now, how do you feel about Mr. Bonehead of the Week, Mr. Mitchell, dropping the
Well,
ball?
I have him. I have him marked. I mean, I like the matchup, obviously, against both these teams struggle. Their secondaries are both bottom 5 in terms of fantasy points allowed. Both of them are, in terms of adjusted fantasy points allowed, they're both up there. The Colts actually 6th highest. And you go down. So both teams are susceptible back there. So I have some Adonai Mitchell. I like the targets and the big play upside.
And no Pierce.
Same with Trey. Same with Trey Tucker. What about, and I agree with you most much, so I don't need to. I was going to ask you about one more Giants guy, Jalen Hyatt. That's the guy that's probably going to take the spot. They loved it's like they're highly touted. They go to him a lot in the preseason. He's got like all the, I can see him trying to get him a touchdown. I know he keeps dropping it in the pros for whatever reason. So there's trust issues, but isn't Jalen Hyatt like he's got like boom or bust? No,
he was a stud at Tennessee. I mean, he came in a legitimate stud at Tennessee. Took over the wide receiver one when Cedric Tillman went out. Almost won wide receiver of the year that year. He is in a great position. I could see him do well. If Pittman plays, Pittman is hurt right now. I absolutely love him.
I think he's off the injury report, though. I think Pittman's going to play now.
Okay. So 5 catches, averaging
check that.
5 for 59 and 0.8 touchdowns and 7 targets a game. Has 3 straight games of 5 receptions. And every year there's always this random love connection that happens with a quarterback and a wide receiver. This year it's Sam Darnold and JSN. His worst game was 479, and that was last week. He's averaging 6.5 catches and 101 yards in 4 games this season. And he's only scored 1 touchdown. When you're getting that much volume, you and I both know that touchdown positive regression is going to come. So JSN, that's kind of where my head is. If Pittman goes, I think he's in a great spot too.
Yeah, he's off the injury report. I just read it. So like you said, there doesn't even carry an injury designation into the weekend. So that's good news. I hate hamstrings with wide receivers. I have him on my fantasy. I'm going to play him anyways. You're right about Garrett Wilson. It is interesting. Like we hit the 80+ yards, even in the Patreon there on the last play and we needed we got credit for 18 yards receiving because he caught it and was looking to lateral, had nobody, ran all the way back to the end zone, ran it out 18 yards, and then lateraled it, and we got credit for that. They actually struggled to get him the ball, which in an even almost better matchup against the Dolphins. So I just hope, Aaron, they call a better game. I worry. I love Garrett Wilson. I love Justin Fields this week. I love Breece Hall. I'm probably going to stack them, but it's chalky. I'm nervous because it's chalky. It's against the most obvious matchup in the world, the most obvious fucking matchup in the world. And we're supposed to trust these guys who showed me last week they cannot they had an extra day to prepare Monday night, and they looked like shit, plain and simple.
A lot of that stuff, though, like if Allen doesn't fumble, I think that game plays out a little bit different. You know what I mean? Maybe. And there was 2 penalties. Like they called for everything. And then there was that hands to the face that wasn't called. And there was that play when a Dolphin dove on the back of a Jets player. It was a really
way after the play was over. Yeah, the officials were really bad in favor of the Dolphins. They kept fucking the Jets over. That's true.
So, like my thing is, I really feel that you need to take a stand, and you need to not take a stand, but just pick which guy. With the Jets are simple. It's those 3 guys that get the rock, and you just got to pick which guy you want to roll with.
Or all 3. You just take all the points. I mean, they're against the Cowboys are highest adjusted fantasy points allowed to wide receivers, 4th highest adjusted fantasy points allowed to running backs, and the highest adjusted fantasy points allowed to quarterbacks. It's fucking insane. They're pretty bad. The Bengals are up there in all those categories. The Titans up there more than I expected to see them. A little bit surprised. The Steelers are up there quite a bit. They have a bye this week. Just a few wide receivers I wanted to mention as well. I think Amon-Ra's in a great spot. Love me some Garrett Wilson. You mentioned all the Chargers receivers. I love that. The Raiders receivers as well. Marvin Harrison Jr., I just mentioned the Titans. It looks like he kind of got on track, that big touchdown late last week. No James Conner, now no Trey Benson. They're going to have to start moving the ball vertically I think McBride and Marvin Harrison are lined up for big games. You mentioned Olave. I love that. Michael Pittman. I agree. Just a couple value guys. Jalen Tolbert. Kavontae Turpin is probably not going to play for the Cowboys coming the other way against the Jets, who are also very susceptible defensively to opposing wide receivers. I think guys like Jalen Tolbert and Flournoy are live, way down 3,600 and 3,100. Flournoy and Jalen Tolbert. It's gonna be George Pickens, who's obviously playable. They really seem to have something there, and Flournoy. So Flournoy, Jalen Tolbert, some value plays way down the list. I have Jalen Tolbert marked there. Was there any other value guy I wanted to talk about? I mentioned Jalen Hyatt. That's it. All right.
I got two guys. Okay. Now look,
what you got?
I really feel that when you play certain defenses, you don't look as bad as you. How can I word this? You look bad, but you really aren't that bad.
Okay.
I feel this is a huge step down for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and I feel especially Jamar Chase is going to be insanely undervalued, underowned. DJ Reed's out. He's on the IR. So that means you're going to be against Terrion Arnold or Roberson against the Lions. I mean, that is a huge matchup advantage for Jamar Chase. I think this is going to be the game where we can see him get a little bit of a bounce back. Dorsey is supposed to be coming back, which I'm not the biggest Dorsey guy, but he does help the back four. And
they're just not pricing him down that much, though. Like he's still the second most expensive wide receiver on both sides.
Yeah, but I think he's going to be underowned. I guess that's my point. I think he's going to be.
Yeah, I love that. I just wish they would give us they give us a break. He's only hit double digits, I think, once or twice all year. Like,
but you're going up against Browning's going up against playing a Flores defense, which is going to bring the heat, and then a Denver defense with Patrick Surtain guarding him. Now he's going up against Robertson and Terrion Arnold, which is a huge downgrade.
Yeah,
and you and I have preached how bad that defense is.
And I think Khalil Dorsey making his debut this year. They're going to be starting a rookie. Okay,
I think there's a path there for those guys to have a little bit, and even T. Higgins. I think those are.
I don't hate stacking. If you do that, why not stack the game? If you say you're doing Alliance, say you're like, look, I'm going to have Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Maybe they go off, and Jahmyr Gibbs because the Bengals defense is so bad, and I'm trying to go contrarian from the Jets in that Cowboys game. Come back the other way with some Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and the passing game the other way. And if the Bengals keep it close and that forces that offense to keep scoring, that's where you can get a lot of points stacking one game there, especially in tournaments. If you're trying to be a little bit different, get the comeback on those teams that you think are going to score a lot of points. If the Lions score a lot of points, the Bengals are going to have to throw it to keep up. You get what I'm saying. Smell what I'm stepping. All right, tight ends. What do you like on tight ends, bro?
Oh, yeah, tight ends. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 6 dudes I'm looking at. First dude, obviously.
That's good for you. Usually Eric's checking out way more than 6 dudes. So
that's usually 8 dudes.
I'm like a 10 dude guy. I like a nice round number of 10 dudes. I like to check out. All right, go ahead.
Actually, there's 7 guys. I apologize.
The truth, you sound just like my ex fucking wife. First it's just once. It's 7.
Juwan Howard, 3 for 28, 29 routes on 60 snaps.
Juwan Howard? Did you say Juwan Howard?
I did say Juwan Howard.
I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, hold on a sec. You mean Juwan Johnson, correct?
Juwan Johnson.
Is he injured? Does he get his?
He had an ankle. He was not practicing earlier in the week.
Okay.
I definitely like him. I like Dalton Schultz, 5 for 30, ran 28 routes on the 60 snaps. He played no scores, 45 is averaging 45 yards in the 4 meetings that he's had against the again in the matchup. Mark Andrews, 7 for 30, running 23 routes on 30 snaps, 2 straight of 6 catches, has 2 scores in 2 games. Cooper Rush is going to push the ball a little bit more than Lamar Jackson will. We don't have to worry about him bringing it down and running. I like him. Mason Taylor, 5 for 65, had 13 targets, 9 catches, has no scores. Is he going to be that number 2 option? We kind of look for Fields. He started throwing the ball to Taylor a little bit. He looked phenomenal. He could kind of be that second passing option. Now, per Pete Carroll, 38 minutes ago was asked what he thought about Brock Bowers. He says he expects him to play. He's had that injury designation all week, hasn't played the last 2 days. He has 6.6 grabs, 70 yards this season. That's what he's averaging last year. This year, he's at 4.8 and 56. He has no scores, but this is my thing. This is going to be the game because the Colts really struggle defending the tight end. I put this bet in our Patreon about taking his over. I think this is a must win for the Raiders. The Raiders are going to lean heavy on him, and he's due for some positive regression as much as he gets the ball. Last 2, Seattle really struggles. They've allowed the most points to the tight end, Cade Otton. Now, look, I know he ran routes on 40 of 69 snaps, but only had 3 receptions for 9 yards. He's failed to reach 30 in any game. This could kind of be the game where he is used a little bit more, especially with no Bucky Irvin. We could see Cade Otton get a little bit more. Now, I don't know. I haven't had a chance to look. Is Taysom Hill coming back?
Might be. I don't know. I haven't checked today, but I know today was the week that he could pot another tight end as well. I think two tight ends.
So I mean,
coming back.
If Taysom Hill kind of like a
dark. Is it Foster Moreau? I think Foster Moreau and Taysom Hill
could come back too. So I mean, that's just kind of a dark.
Need a life. We shouldn't know that. Need a life. In fact, that just kind of makes me sad. I love all those. A couple guys I want to mention. Jake Ferguson. We talked about no Kevontae Turpin now. Still no CeeDee Lamb. So Jalen Tolbert and Florida are going to have to step up. Jake Ferguson, we've seen massive strides this year. 38 DraftKings points over the last couple of weeks. 21 targets. The Jets 4th or 5th in terms of adjusted fantasy points allowed for tight ends. They've allowed the 9th most DraftKings points. I love that matchup. Tyler Warren is just a part of the offense. So I think every week, even though the Raiders have been pretty good against tight ends, I will say that. Matchup-wise, Bengals right below the Seahawks. Sam Laporta, again, the risk there is it feels like it's going to be easy for them to move the ball. So how much are they going to need to involve Sam Laporta? But the matchup is there. You just worry about how much they're going to need to go to it. Darren Waller. Healthy now. He was limited at practice this week. Darren Waller, 3,500. We talked about him preseason as being sneaky, and then I kind of given up on him because it felt like he's a quitter. Well, now you see his first game. They go to him in the red zone instantly, 2 touchdowns. Then we see Tyreek Hill leave. Carolina, terrible against opposing tight ends, 5th most fantasy points. They are not good in any way, shape, or form against opposing tight ends. I know they're way up there in adjusted. I just can't. I need glasses, but Darren Waller, fantastic matchup against Carolina. I like that quite a bit as well. And one more guy in that same game, the Dolphins also struggle against opposing tight ends. Tommy Tremble. It looks like Jatavian Sanders is not going to play again this week. Tommy Tremble last week, same scenario. Jatavian Sanders misses because of injury. 8 targets, 15 DraftKings points. The Dolphins allow the 3rd most DraftKings points to tight ends. 8th most adjusted fantasy points allowed. 8 targets for 15. He's 2,900 DraftKings 4-6 Fanduel. I think Tommy Tremble, Mason Taylor, you mentioned him. I have both of those guys down there if you're looking to get cheap at tight end. If I'm paying up, I'm not paying up until Jake Ferguson's as high as I'm going. Then I'd go all the way down to Tommy Tremble. Defenses. What do you think, Playboy? Who do you like?
I mean, defenses. For me, defenses is always the ultimate wild card.
Like eventually we're going to get this kick returner too for a touchdown, right? That I've been looking like who's the good kick returner. It was the Cowboys with Turpin. He's gone.
So this is just kind of my mindset. Just hear me out.
Okay.
You want to pay down Jackson Dart making this first road start. You could do the Saints at 2,200. Obviously, you have the Texans against Baltimore. How's the offense going to look? We need to monitor the offensive line. is the center, is Staley. What's the offensive line situation for the Ravens there? Carolina against Miami, no Hill. How is that offense going to look? 40% drop in explosive rate when Tyreek Hill is out. I think Seattle and I think Tampa Bay, I think that's going to be a very low scoring game. Both those two are priced at 2,800. I am interested in both of those. I've started to realize in the stuff I've watched, I think the best returner, the best special teams in the return game is the New England Patriots.
Yeah, Jonathan Jones. That's what I was going to say. He's the guy.
So, I mean, but unfortunately, I believe they're on the Sunday slate, so we can't.
Yeah, they're Sunday Night Football. Sunday Night Football.
We can't use them. I would not pay up for the Cardinals. I would not pay up for the Lions. I would not pay up for the Ravens. I would not pay up for the Colts. So for me, it's kind of those kind of like bottom middle tier teams. The Saints, the Texans, the Panthers, and then the Seahawks and Bucks. That's probably as high as I would go.
My number one defense is the Giants on the other side of that game. The Giants have a terrific front seven. I don't know where the points come from. I could see turnovers. I know they struggle against maybe a little bit in the secondary, but that front seven is one of the best in football. I think the Giants defense against the Saints, 2,900 DraftKings, 4-1 Fanduel. I like that quite a bit. I have exposure to the Lions defense just because the turnover upside. They just had 19 last week. I think the Colts against the Raiders makes a ton of sense. Geno Smith, coming off of 3 interceptions. They lack weapons out there in Vegas. I think the Eagles at home, possible weather game. I haven't been that impressed with the Broncos. They can stop Cortland Sutton. The question is, can they stop the tertiary target? It's going to be very difficult to run. Someone's asked, what about Waddle? Without Tyreek Hill against Carolina. The Carolina secondary is very, very good. They struggle against tight ends, but if J.C. Horn is lined up on Jalen Waddle, it's going to be a long game. That's actually a much tougher matchup. You wouldn't think it, like, oh, we could pick on the Carolina secondary. No, you can't. They play zone. First of all, they play zone a ton, 69% of the time. And all 3 of their corners give up less than a third of a fantasy point per route ran against. Their slot guy, Smith Wade, Michael Jackson, they're all 3 very, very good. So that's not a matchup I'm necessarily looking to exploit in that one. But I think the Eagles defense is certainly live. And then just a couple. I have the Panthers. I completely agree with you on the Panthers. And I think that's it. That's it for me on defense. That's it. That's our show. Any other thoughts overall? Who you looking to really target this week?
The Jets. Give me the Jets. 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 Going to be looking to have a lot of exposure to them. Did we see what the price of White looks like on DraftKings?
Rachaad White, 4,700 on DraftKings.
I think he's a must play with no Bucky Irving. 47 for a starting running back. Absolutely, definitely interested in him too. I think he's a must. And in DraftKings, quietly speaking, the Bucks have given up a ton of receiving production to opposing running backs. One of the bets I put in this morning was Kenneth Walker just to have over 9.5 yards receiving. He's kind of the featured back in the passing game, so I definitely look to use him a little bit more on the PPR slate.
Yeah, the game here we just talked about, Jets Cowboys. You can stack that game up. I think that makes a ton of sense. Lions Bengals does as well. Woody Marks running. I think this is one of those interesting weeks. We haven't really seen it where there's a lot of good value. Eric just mentioned Rachaad White at running back, where you can pay down at running back and maybe pay up at some positions that you haven't before. Seems like a week where the ultimate lineup, the number one lineup, is going to have a lot of salary left over on the table. I don't think the premium plays at the top are going to be in the number one. So I would say this week, be less afraid to leave 1,500, 1,800, maybe 2,000 on the table as opposed to your standard 400, 500, 600, 700 that you might leave on the table to be a little different. I could see more salary. It's going to be really tempting to say, oh, shit, you're going to make a lineup and go, oh, shit, I have a lot of salary left on the table. And I think that's going to be fine. That would be my take.
Let's do this real quick before
I can make a lineup if you want. We can make one right now.
Let's make a lineup where we have Marks and White as the running backs.
Let's do it here. It's going to generate one for us here, and then we will. So we're going to go take Marks, I believe, is 54. Woody Marks, 54. And Rashad White, 4,700. Okay, now we can just start going up. So at quarterback, I still say we want to go to Justin Fields, right? 56. Yep. Receiver, we want to stack Garrett Wilson with that, right?
Correct.
61. Now we still have 3,200 we can play with here. So we have George Pickens, who I love coming back the other way in that. I don't hate that at all.
I love that as well.
So Marvin here, we can go all the way up to Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamar Chase. So we can go to Amon-Ra, probably the safer route. But you want to do Chase, make it a tournament lineup?
Yeah, let's make it a tournament. Let's go Chase.
Chase. Then we have Darren Waller at tight end. We still have 800 on the table, and we have Cam Scattaboo at the flex. And we could save money there too. We can go down. We have Breece Hall. We could go down to at 5,600.
What is real quick? What is St. Brown?
79. He's 100 more than Jamar Chase.
Okay. What happens if we go really low budget on defense?
Oh yeah, we haven't even done that yet. So on defense, I think the Giants at 2,900.
Let's go Giants. How much are we sitting at now?
And now we can go up 1,200. We can go up to Derrick Henry. Jackson Smith and Jigba. We can go up to Devin A-Chain if we want in the flex. That still leaves 100 on the table. It's a really good lineup.
That is a phenomenal lineup. When do we want to pivot at the tight end so we don't have two Dolphins though?
We could pivot to there's Tommy Tremble, Mason Taylor. Those are cheaper. We could go up. There's Cade Otton, Dalton Schultz.
We can go Schultz.
That would use all of our salary. That's a good 50-50 lineup right there, honestly.
Yeah.
That's an excellent 50-50 lineup if you're using that. We're going to save that. I will save that lineup. We'll check how it did last week. Again, please, if you want more of our lineups, we have a ton of lineups like this. Rankings, wide receiver matchups, best bets. I'm going to try to I haven't done anything for UFC yet. I haven't even looked. It's been a busy fucking week. I haven't had a chance. College football, Eric Scott, Prize Picks, all that. Patreon, click it, check it out. It's already paid for itself 1,000 times over and over. I was just asking a couple of the guys who were in it yesterday. DFS Huddle on Patreon. It's paid for itself. It really has. I don't know what else to say.
I mean, if you did the 40-1, was it? No, 37-1, excuse me. 37-1 Prize Picks. Boom.
I mean, how many times you have to hit that? But I guess if you're doing that on your own and you don't need help, then fuck us. But if you want to win some DFS and you want to see some good lineups and you want to see our Sunday night lineups and shit that we, all the different stuff that we do that's not here on camera every day, that's where you check us out. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you for watching. We appreciate